Recording. Oh, hang on. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Natasha.
Hello, James Humber.
You see me? I'm kind of cut.
I can see you. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for joining me today, James. It's so nice to see you.
Always good to see you too.
So the reason I wanted to talk to you is because we've worked together for a while, you and I. Me being the photographer, you being the wedding celebrant, officiant. And I like your services, I admire your work, and I wanted to provide a bit of a platform for maybe couples who might be looking for a celebrant to get to know a little bit about what does a wedding celebrant do and a little bit about you. So I thought a good way to begin would be
Oh, you did? Did you?
I did think of a good way to begin, which is I was looking at your website, doing a bit of research, and I saw this beautiful review written by Julie, who's a bride at a wedding that actually we both worked at, and it was on October of this year.
9th.
He wrote something that I think sums up very well and very articulately your service. Okay, so I'm going to read it really quickly. And
I'm bracing myself.
Okay, so it says, when you see all those stars and great reviews, it almost sounds like a hoax, but everything you hear and read about James is true, and then some. He makes it special. Yes, it's catered to the couple's history. It's heartwarming, bloody funny, the perfect length, and the guy looks great in a suit. You do, I agree. I mean, it's almost unfair how easy he makes it look. I'm wondering if he does kids' parties too now, because it's a shame we won't get to use his talents anymore. So if you're looking for something sweet, personal, and funny, you've come to the right place. I mean, he even bought my dog a toy. Okay, so I think that's a very good summary of the type of service or what your service feels like, no? And I think that's really important, what atmosphere a wedding celebrant creates for a wedding. So to begin with, I want to begin with my first question for you is, can you tell us a little bit, what does a wedding celebrant do? So what is your job, basically?
Gosh, I'm lost for words. I can't really follow Julie's appraisal. A wedding celebrant, well, in places where someone like, let's say Spain, where someone wants to get married in Spain, but they're not resident here, or they don't want to go through the church, then they opt for a wedding celebrant that, in all our cases, we provide wedding ceremonies that are not legally binding. Generally, I would say 99% of the time have no religious content to them. So they've come to be called symbolic ceremonies. But I spoke with a couple yesterday who took the words out of my mouth and said, you know, we will get legally married in a registry office in Britain, but we want this to be our main wedding. And that, I think, across the board is the case with everyone. If they get legally married normally before, they always consider this particular wedding that is done by a celebrant as their main wedding. So basically, we're the people that conduct that service that is non-institutional and non-religious.
Perfect. Okay. And how do you people conduct, how do you tailor, because as Julie said, and I've witnessed this in many of the weddings that you've done, that you make it very personalized, you know? So every time I hear this feedback from the couples after the wedding, that it really looked like them, the wedding that you conducted or facilitated. So I wonder, how do you do that? Especially that many of your couples are based outside of Spain as well. So
yeah, I would say 98% of the people come from outside Spain. I think one of the nicest things, and I have to say, in modesty apart, it has happened a few times where couples have written in the reviews that can be seen online things like, our family and friends thought you were an old friend, or that you were some long lost uncle or something like, obviously not cousin because I'm too old, but things like that. So I can't remember, what was the question again?
So my question was, how do you tailor it? How do you make it personalized?
Oh, yes. Well, I'm presuming all celebrants, most celebrants will do the same, because I think it kind of goes with the job, because the idea is the idea is to personalize these ceremonies because it's not a state thing, it's not a religious thing. So as it's laser focused on the couple, in my particular case, I provide the couple with a questionnaire, maybe 20 odd questions, which I ask them to fill in separately and send them to me. So I get different ways of expressing the similar sort of sentiments and historical events in their relationship. And with those answers, basically, I just turn their answers and the things they say about each other in terms of sentiments and moments, I turn that into the focus of the ceremony. So it's always all the couple's words. I don't invent stuff that's not about them. I don't invent, well, to some people they may not be cheesy, but to me they are, and to a large proportion of couples I speak to, I don't invent cheesy metaphors about love and stuff like this. I think it's much nearer the mark to use the couple's own words in the ceremony, because not everyone is super lovey-dovey, and so some people are, some people aren't. So it's more faithful to them if we recreate a ceremony focused on them, using their words, really.
Their words, using their words and using their truth. And you have a very important value that you maintain in all your weddings, which is something I try and aim for in my photography as well, is anti-cliches. We're, moving away from cliches, not that there's anything wrong with them, but unfortunately, it's a hiding place. No, it's so generic that it's a shame, because there's so much uniqueness to truth. And that's, I think, what couples want to experience on their wedding day, in their photos, in their ceremony. So yeah, I really love that about your ceremony.
I'm just going to add a bit in here. I actually had an email yesterday from a wedding planner. It was for a wedding to do it in Catalan and English, and they said, "Do you always do the same ceremony, or do you do other formats?" And I said, "Well, the format, like we've said chatting privately, the format is never going to be, oh, we do the vows at the beginning and then we'll do the rest of them. So whether you like it or not, there's a certain format to it."
Right.
And what I tried to explain to this wedding planner was, yes, there's a format. It can be changed. You can put this here, put that there, put that there. It's a social ritual that has elements like readings, maybe a bit of music at the beginning, a bit of music at the end, the vows, and a declaration that the people are now married as husband and husband, wife and wife, husband and wife, whatever. But, that's a loose format, but it kind of is going to go along those lines. But within that, as I tried to stress to the wedding planner, is the particular story of the couple is what personalizes the ceremony. Now, if you have a couple who don't particularly want to give away many details about themselves, that's fine, but that is their choice, and they know, and they're happy with that. But largely, the couples I speak to want this particular sort of personalization process, and that's what leads to reviews like Julie's, and I'm sure other celebrants, and I've seen them, they receive similar reviews for providing very personalized ceremonies.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Julie from here, if she's watching, to say thank you.
Do you think she is?
So you are also multilingual, as I know, and it's on your website as well. So some of the languages that I've seen you work in are Spanish, obviously English, Francais, anything else?
Catalan.
Catalan.
Yes, I think I did 3 weddings last year, 2022, which were Anglo-Catalan. And I've
very
done
popular combining languages, no? Bilingual ceremonies sometimes are quite, can be,
and a bit of French. Sometimes weddings are in English, but neither of the couple is a native English speaker. But because, let's say, they live a Turkish Austrian couple, they lived in Barcelona, but they had the wedding in English, because that's whether we like it or not, call it linguistic imperialism. English is kind of a language that works for everyone.
So so what would you say would be a good way to evaluate if, let's say, you as a celebrant would be a good match for a couple? What do you think are maybe some questions that they can ask themselves in order to evaluate, like if you'd be a good
I don't know,
match?
it's a bit of a que sera, sera. I mean, a lot of people,
you do Zoom calls, I suppose.
I have initial contact via email normally, or some people come via Instagram, but I always steer them towards email, because then I can send them more details and it's easier to write. and I send them some documents, so the questionnaire, a sample of a ceremony, a template of a ceremony to show them the shape it could be, to give them an idea. Not this is what it is. This is an idea.
Reference point.
Plus, yeah, I give them sample vows, which I've collected over the years and just recently redid, and sample readings, which have all those and the readings have all been witnessed at weddings I've been in. So you've got classical vows, modern vows, people have written their own vows, stuff like that. Then we have a Zoom chat, but a lot of the time it's down to, it might be down to economics. I do always say, the difference between, say, what one or another celebrant charges is not very much, considering what people spend on a wedding. And we are, if you like, the celebrants are definitely the smallest impact on someone's wedding budget, I would say. We're the smallest sort of individual quantity for a service for a wedding, I think.
At the same time, you set a tone to the wedding, because the wedding begins with the ceremony. So the tone is set by how that gets created. So it's quite key.
Well, shall I tell you what happens? So that's the process I have. And then people either say, yeah, after the Zoom chat, or I never hear from them again. Normally, it's a relatively high rate of conversion into people confirming. That may be because there aren't that many celebrants, and if you've got a nice website and you're on this scale, it could be that. One thing I would say that I was thinking earlier is that largely, nearly all couples don't realise can't imagine what the ceremony is going to be like, can't get it into their head of what it will go like, and so it's usually afterwards that they do then become extremely complimentary and stuff, because they kind of go, oh wow, and as you just quite rightly pointed out, it's that kind of like it's that oxygen boost for the rest of the day, if you like. I mean, if it was, I have met couples, and I say to couples when I meet them on Zoom, have you been to any weddings? Were there things you liked about those weddings or didn't like? And a lot of them say, oh God, even symbolic ceremonies with a celebrant, they say, oh, just a bit dull, just a bit boring. The majority of couples that come here to do destination weddings in Spain and all other parts around the world, they tend to be people who are a lot less formal, a bit more relaxed. Probably, they would maybe turn the fun up to 11 maybe for their wedding, as opposed to 8. And but whilst respecting if you like, the gravitas, a word you've used before, respecting the gravitas of their wedding ceremony. But that's definitely a thing. I really noticed that couples kind of go, oh wow, that was, but not just me, I'm sure with other celebrants, but wow, that was, oh gosh, and that was so great, because they can't imagine what it's going to be like.
Yeah, they can't imagine what it's going to be like. And it's amazing when an experienced celebrant such as yourself, who really, based on all these amazing reviews that you've received, which is all from experience and pure joy of the couple after they've worked with you, it's just so nice that it's like you're leading them, you're taking them by the hand, and you're kind of leading them through something, and all they have to do is just, like, the structure and everything is there, and all they have to do is just step through, breathe out, and connect. This is going to sound cheesy, but connect with their hearts and just say what they're there to say.
It did sound cheesy. Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, no, I mean, I in the script, and like I say, that I do for the ceremony, I where couples have been quite sentimental, I will use their exact words about it, and I think that's very sincere and very faithful and very admirable of them, and faithful to what they're like and what their relationship's like. It's like I said, I don't invent stuff, but yes, it is a bit of a, I would say largely couples don't really have much of an idea of how it's going to go, and I tend to see that they're massively surprised in a positive way that it's like, it is what it is. And again, that would go for ceremonies done by other celebrants, some of whom I know, so it's not just me.
No, it is an exhilarating experience afterwards. Like, they come out of it after the wedding ceremony, kind of, with this feeling like, that was amazing, we love James, that was so good. James, one of the celebrants,
one of the questions in the questionnaire I got is, what are you most looking forward to after the wedding? And a large proportion of people say not having to plan a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And you can tell a lot of the relief of them. And it's tense for everyone, because there are parents involved, siblings involved, children involved, sometimes friends involved, and it's quite tense. There's a lot of organisation.
So much invested in that day.
It's 18 months of preparation, so it's very tense. Which is why in the ceremony it's nice that there are ice-breaking moments, like a little kid throwing petals or something like that, because that kind of relaxes everyone, and then everyone's in the right space. But as these weddings generally occur in very nice locations, 95% of them are outside in lovely Spanish summer weather, then a certain sort of informality and relaxation is already served. So it's
and there's something to be said about choosing a good team to work with, like choosing your suppliers based on obviously the reviews, their portfolio, but also like from meeting them and getting a feeling of who they are through Zoom chats or in person, if you're in the same country, in the same city, that you can trust that you have a good team who are experienced and they've done this hundreds of times. I don't know how many, done maybe over 100 weddings. I don't know how many ceremonies have you done?
Oh, hang on, let me think.
Way more than that.
243.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So
well,
you can kind of let go and focus on. But my point is that they can, once they have a good team set up, then that's the investment that you make. You invest in a good team, and you could just relax and let go and trust that they're doing their job, and they, and you could just be there, be present, and focus on the celebration, which is why they're there.
That's why a lot of couples get wedding planners, because the majority of people couples I work with, they're from abroad, all over the world, in fact, and it's a long way away, plus the language barrier. So a lot of couples I work with have wedding planners. The wedding planner hasn't necessarily recommended me. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But in most weddings, there tends to be a wedding planner, unless you're lucky enough to get a venue that you can lean into, and they help you along with stuff, and you might not need one. But getting a good team together.
Yeah, or if couples ask people like us, and I know that you sometimes give recommendations, or I do too, of vendors who I've worked with, florists, makeup artists, who whose work I like and encourage. We can always facilitate that information as well. So James, apart from what other services do you offer? So you help them. So you explain all the many resources that you give couples in order to get a better idea of what the ceremony is like. And also you guide them sometimes to writing their own vows if necessary, right? And is there any extra services that you provide apart from just being a wedding celebrant after the ceremony?
Yeah, as I was asked by a couple of wedding planners a couple of times last year, or a couple and a wedding planner, to be an MC for the rest of the day's event. So going from say 4 o'clock till midnight, and that's something I've started offering as an optional extra. I do stress it's optional, so it's not for everyone. But when you have a wedding with maybe 60 to 80 people, maybe it's bilingual, or maybe the vehicle language is English, but not everyone is from Britain or English speaking. So that's just basically to provide a kind of a service as a master of ceremonies, to sort of present, announce, or help organise the sort of key celebratory moments for the rest of the evening, like the couple's entrance to the reception after maybe they've had their photos taken or whatever, the first dance, the speeches, which Anglo-Saxon culture, not so much the Spanish don't do it, but in Anglo-Saxon culture, or maybe Northern Europe, they do speeches in the dinner, cutting the cake, like I said, the first dance, throwing the bouquet and that kind of business, anything like that. Basically, sort of just announcing, because a lot of times at weddings, people go astray, or they're not quite sure what's happening, and there can be kind of dips in energy. So it's good to have someone pointing out the stuff. So yes, that's something I'm offering. In fact, I just got a call from someone saying they'd like to go ahead with that service for next year, actually.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, one thing I was going to say really quickly was, in terms of vendors and stuff, on all my Instagram posts, I try as hard as I possibly can to tag every single supplier that's involved in each wedding that I do a post for, which is every wedding. I do a post for every wedding. So I often say to couples when I speak to them, if you're still looking for vendors, just go through mine or a wedding planner's Instagram account and look at who's tagged, because pretty much everyone works in this area.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good source.
Definitely. So because I want to try and keep this short and sweet. Sweet and short. I think those are kind of the basic questions that I had in mind to ask you, and wondered, and I think whatever more details couples want to know, they can definitely get in touch with you in person, which you have your Instagram, The Wedding Man, @TheWeddingMan, and your website, theweddingman.eu. Is there anything that you wanted to add, or maybe a question that you get asked often that you want to address, or something that you want to say?
I can't really think of anything. No, I mean, one thing people ask is, do we need a rehearsal? To which I normally say no, because I think the staging and the choreographing of a wedding ceremony, if you have a planner, personally, I think that's kind of like a wedding planner thing to organize that, because the role of the celebrant, although I'm quite happy from having a background in theatre to be involved in saying, maybe you stand here, maybe you should do this, maybe you should walk in at this time, stuff like that. Quite happy to do that. The celebrant's job is really just to do the words, to stand there and do the ceremony. But I'm quite happy. I don't go to rehearsals, because a lot of the venues I work in are an hour away from my base, and all I do, and it has happened, that's why I don't do it anymore, is I go there, someone says you'll be standing there, and I go home again. So it seems like I'm leaving too much of a carbon footprint there, I think so as well.
Yeah, and it's not necessary. It's definitely not
Don't
necessary.
think so.
And also, it's like there's so much magic when it happens for the first time, and you witness them coming to the ceremony for the first time, and that's the kind of ritualistic ceremonial magic that you want to experience it once, and you need to just trust that the celebrant knows what he or she or they are doing, in the sense that they have everything set up in such a way that all you need to do is just kind of follow the steps, and you'll be fine.
Yes, I think it's strange. I think there's a bit of a hangover from maybe religious weddings, which have a certain sort of formality to them, normally due to the building or the fact that the religious content, there's a lot more solemnity. So I think somewhere in people's psyche, they have this idea that coming into the wedding has to be absolutely perfect,
right,
like a choreographed West End musical number, and it doesn't. You're outside in a field, everyone's quite relaxed. What I do sometimes say to people when they're coming down the aisle, whoever they are, whatever order, I do tend to sort of say, don't don't run so fast, because it's nice to hold that moment, But so that's one thing. I don't think you need to obsess about how precise your ceremony is. The processional ceremony when you come in. I don't think those are important factors in a wedding, really.
And you said
I don't think anyone goes, I'm leaving, that procession wasn't very good. You know what I mean?
No, and it's very key. Like it's very key to let go and not expect anything to be perfect, because inevitably, like in any big event, things are gonna go wrong. Things are gonna go wrong, and it's just part of it. And the more you could just be in the moment and let that happen, and even enjoy those mistakes, like that just add charm and add aliveness to the event.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the beauty.
Enjoy themselves so much more if they really kind of connect to that.
I think that's the beauty why these sort of weddings with a celebrant, symbolic weddings as they're called, are a nice sweet spot between like a muck wedding that you get with the registry office, the institutional one, and an overly long kind of religious wedding. The thing is, they are less formal, and it doesn't matter if, for example, maybe one of the happy couples sort of doesn't quite know what's going on, and so the celebrant can just gently sort of say, do you want to turn this way and face each other? They're all nice moments to me. It's not, like I say, it's not a West End musical production, so we don't need to be on our marks all the time. It's so
contrary,
so people should relax and just enjoy it.
which is easier said than done, of course.
Of course,
And
yeah.
of course, there are nerves and adrenaline, and that's also just part of the experience. I mean, it's such a intense, beautiful, euphoric experience. A wedding, a ceremony, the moments before. But yeah, just trusting, being in the moment, connecting to the joy, and things always end up being amazing, even with the biggest kind of little accidents that happen, or biggest little accidents. But I want to say, like, even just when it's happened that even like the couple have tripped over themselves or something, like, it's always been very warmly embraced, and it's like never has it been has it created a dent in the wedding day ever. I've never seen that.
Oh, and also in a similar vein, slightly different, this is an emotional thing. Many couples say, oh, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to say my vow because I'll be crying. I'll be like a, they say in Spanish, a magdalena. I don't know why it's a magdalena, because they're quite dry, aren't they? But cry. Oh no, I think it's a reference to the Virgin, isn't it? Yeah. So, but I say to them, it doesn't matter if your partner cry, or everyone's crying. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're happy tears, so it doesn't matter. So I would say embrace the cathartic factor involved in a wedding, and let the tears flow.
And take your time. Yeah, like if you need to just
We're not in a hurry.
Cry it out. Yeah, people are going to hold space for you. That's what people are there for. No, your family and friends are there to hold space for you, to experience those vows and to experience this magical union. So
yeah,
I think the more time people can take into it and lean into it, the better for everyone.
I had a wedding once where it was, in fact, I think that he was Lebanese, actually, the dad. He was about to give a reading for his daughter's wedding, and he just couldn't get the words out. And so I just said, is there anyone else who can come and read what he's going to? And an auntie came out and she read it, but it just added to the thing. It made it more emotional, not less. And the dad was just so emotional, he couldn't get the words out, but it was lovely. It wasn't, oh my gosh,
Yeah, no, it never is.
So they're to be embraced, things like that. Yeah, anything denotes that we're human is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Nowadays.
You don't get more human than that, really. Than those.
Not really, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, James, I really enjoyed talking to you and sharing.
Thank you.
I'm the only one drinking coffee. You're not drinking coffee on my coffee break.
I didn't have time because I had to hang the washing out.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. It was really nice to.
Thank you for having me. I hope the series prevails and is successful and goes viral in a good way.
Yeah. Well, it was nice to talk to you. I'll see you very soon in one of our weddings, I'm sure. And be good.
Yeah. But keep it tidy. See you soon.
All right, James. Talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.